this computer. There we go. Hi guys, it's Sarah with Life in Session. I'm very excited to be doing another interview here today with my dear friend Casey Gouveia. She's a professional makeup artist and she also has an incredible business called GoBeYou that I'm so excited to talk about. And yeah, we'll just dive right in. Hi Casey, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited. And I would love to hear just, you know, you and I have known each other for a really long time, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I love how our worlds, like, they circled around, and then it's, like, now in this new realm. It's so cool. And I would love to hear just about you, your background, about GoBeYou, and what that means to you, and how you created it, and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I was telling you, I felt like I was going to cry earlier just because it's so wonderful to bless people's lives together. So thank you. You know, it's been a long journey for me, like for you, for all of us, right? And how we get to this place. And, you know, I was always raised very healthfully. My parents were really kind of farm to table people, even though we didn't call it that. But when I was 9, so I was youngest of 5, and my eldest sister was 16 years older than me. We were all kind of 3 years apart. And she got married young, and she had children young. And when I was 9, her daughter got leukemia. And it was devastating, you know, and she tried traditional treatments, and she had chemo and radiation and such, but she wasn't flourishing. And so my dad was like, maybe we should just try something really holistic. Let's just go for it. And, you know, I was young, but I was around this influence. And so, you know, it was like bone broth, it was vitamins, it was macrobiotic, it was prayer, it was just positive energy, all this stuff. And anyway, through a long time it took, but she survived, and she's, you know, thriving now. She's older and carrying on. And so that really inspired my sister then, because, you know, she saw these things happening. And I also wanted to tell you, at the time she was at Children's Hospital, there were 22 kids in the cancer ward. And my sister got to chatting with another mom at lunch who had a son there. And she was just sharing, you know, what she was doing holistically along with allopathic care with this other mom. And you know that my niece and that boy were the only survivors of those 22 kids.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that gave me the chills.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can imagine the impact that had on my life, right? And I think I also maybe just was drawn to healing and holistic health, you know, however we're wired, however God made us. So, you know, my parents just continued to raise us how they raised us. And then my sister was so inspired, she opened a health food store, and then she opened another one, and she just became sharing her knowledge with others, you know. So that was kind of my life growing up. And then kind of fast forward to, you know, I've been a makeup artist for a number of years now. And, you know, I'm always working with people. And as you know, it's you're hearing their problems, you're seeing their stress, you're feeling their angst. And, you know, it became evident to me that, wow, like, I love doing this. I have a talent. I'm an artist, but I really want to help people on a deeper level, because I'm touching them, and we all have healing power. So I thought for years, what else could I do? You know, how could maybe I'll become a therapist. Maybe, you know, all these things are happening. And then some events happened in my life where I had a crisis in my marriage that really took me out, you know, and I got very ill and didn't know what was wrong. And I was never really even into the internet or social media. And then all of a sudden I was like trying to Google answers, because I just couldn't find answers through normal care. And so through my own search for my own health, I started uncovering things, and I kind of look at it like a puzzle. And I just was like, you know, first I did the border, right? The easy stuff. And then the blue sky, you know, and then it was like, oh, the hard pieces, like, what is going on with me? What is going on in my body? And it seemed like my systems are failing. And I knew it was stress-induced for sure. So through that process and my own healing, and I actually came upon a site, drlam.com, and it just kind of looked like what was going on with me. I thought, oh my God, is it my adrenals? Because I didn't really even know, truthfully, what adrenal fatigue was. I didn't know that adrenals are part of the triaxis that affects your hormones, your thyroid, your whole pituitary. Yikes, right? So if they're out of whack, everything's out of whack. And as you can see, I'm kind of a high energy person anyway. So even if it's happy energy, it can still zap you, right? So anyway, through Dr. Lam, and he actually had a coach that helped me. I worked with them for a year, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, you know? And so as I was going through that, I said to my husband, I said, I know I'm sick for a reason. I know that I'm going to help people through this. I just know it. And of course he was like, oh, of course she knows it. You know what I mean? But I just always believe things happen for a reason. I just believe that. I always have in life. And it helps you accept life and its journey because you don't feel like a victim. You go, no, this could be a key for somebody else. Let's just ride this wave. And so through that, I kept being open, you know, what can I do? What can I do? And then my sister got very ill. The same sister who had helped her daughter got ill with cancer. And it was very interesting, I'll tell you, Sarah, because, you know, as a health mentor, as a very knowledgeable person, it's very hard for those people, especially to say, oh my God, I have the C. You know, she couldn't even say the C word because she was always helping other people heal. And she also just felt that to say it gave it power. Mm-hmm. It was interesting, right? And I know, I'm looking back, I think that there's some fear there, obviously. Mm-hmm. But so, you know, I tried with my sister, you know, we worked together, you know, our whole family pitched in, tried to, you know, help her as best we could. But my sister lost her battle. And after that, I said, that's it. I'm going to do everything I can to help other women, because one thing I really felt in my life is every time I read an obituary, she was selfless. She was so merciful. She was the biggest giver. And I'm like, and she is DEA dead, you know? And I feel like, oh my gosh, like so many of us women, we have the capacity and the ability to help so many people, but sometimes we don't know when to create boundaries for ourselves. And that's one thing I had to learn. Like I had to learn, okay, when do I need to do that for you? Or when can you do that for yourself? You know, if I'm tired, do I go to sleep? You know, how packed do I make my day because I can, doesn't mean I have to. And just all these little self-care things that I started incorporating into my life and getting back in touch with my spirituality, just slowing down. And so this mission I'm on kind of is basically to honor the women that have come before me, really. My sister, my mom, my grandmother, because they taught me all these amazing, wise, sage things. And I know that I know they're with me now. And so it's just such a privilege to kind of pass it on and hopefully, you know, help somebody else live in abundance and joy and health. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. There are like so many little things that I want to pull out of what you just talked about. And let's see, where do we start? So I love the idea, that you're able to take your experience, what you went through, and really see it instead of, like you said, instead of feeling like a victim, like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to be there for other people. And you're just such this like bright light in the world, Casey, I tell you. I mean, seeing you on Instagram and connecting with you, I haven't seen you in person in a really long time, but having that as social media to be able to like feel your energy, and you're so passionate about it and believe in this so much, it's incredible. And just like such a bright light. And, you know, and I feel that way too in going through this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could just, you know, be so down and frustrated and angry. And I'm like, I feel like this wasn't just like an accident. Like this is propelling me into something new, which is really incredible. So thank you for sharing that.
It's beautiful to watch. Exactly.
Yeah.
And likewise, you've always had this light and this positive energy and this just sparkle, right? And even when you were first diagnosed, I even saw that. I thought, oh wow, God's going to use her. You know what I mean? It's like, because as you know now, sometimes we don't have the capacity to have empathy until something has happened to us.
Yeah,
know?
it's so different.
And so I can even say for myself, I used to be a very judgmental person. You know, I didn't understand what that person was feeling if I wasn't feeling it. And, you know, a lot of humility definitely gets you going there and helps you see, wow, okay, yeah, I feel your hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And thank you for sharing about your sister, your niece. I think it really just helps people understand, again, cancer affects all of us. I have not met a single person that hasn't been affected by it in some way. And to
Mhm.
have that as a part of your experience and what you're able to bring to the table as you're working with women is incredible. And I love the self-care piece. I love the self-care work that you do and that you talk about it, because it's such a simple but powerful tool. And somehow, oh my gosh, I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day where at the yoga studio, and he was talking about like, oh yeah, everyone keeps telling you like, live, you know, you gotta live to the fullest, live to the fullest. And I'm like, sometimes that means like taking a nap, you know, not go. Just because you can pack your schedule full and go nonstop doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
And I
You know what that reminds me of? I just got a vision. It's like blowing up a balloon, right? Or blowing it up till it pops. Right? Yeah, you can blow it up and you can put air in it, but if you put too much in, it's gonna bust open. And that's kind of what we do, right?
Totally. And like you said, as women, so many times where it's like that selfless kind of always there, always giving, you know, but it's like, all right, well, if you're not taking care of yourself, you don't have anything to give. And I know you've started doing retreats, and I know you've got, don't you have like a self-care kit? And like,
yeah.
I'd love to hear about that. And I would love to hear like if you know, met somebody new and you were just like, all right, 3 simple self-care tools, like just to implement, that would be amazing and powerful and just simple, that maybe you would be willing to share.
Sure. Well, you know, the self-care kit, I just got this kind of fiery inspiration one day that I wanted to do that. You know, that came from, you know, being a makeup artist and just working with faces and everything, and, you know, hearing people's issues, you know, whether it be their actual physical skin or their internal skin, you know. And so I was thinking, gosh, you know, like I can help so many people just one-on-one, but I also could have some tools to help me, you know, just to almost, it's to reach the topic with, right? It's just this kind of little medium to get in there. So I went to Baxter University and took some aromatherapy courses. You know, it's here in Washington, so that was quite convenient. And I really, really loved it, what I learned. But it was also very complex, and it's chemistry. You know, it's not like you just take some little oils and stir them together and say, here, you know, there's a method to the madness. But I got together with a formulator, and we talked about like what was important to me in skincare and why. And one of the things that I really want to say is your skin and your emotions go together, you know. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think just putting a topical serum on, it makes you glow. Well, you know, Vaseline makes you glow too, but that's not good for you. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, but what do I need to have here that's going to help people feel it in their soul, you know? And I really was starting to think of it, oh, serum for your soul. You know, I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah.
So, you know, and so he and I were talking, and so it was like, okay, let's do things that are good to, like, you know, nourish your skin, protect your skin, regenerate your skin. But let's also get to the root, which is your emotions and your anxiety and your stress and how that affects your skin. Because as you know, when you're worried, when you're fearful, when you're anxious, your body becomes rigid, your body becomes more acidic. Therefore, you don't metabolize things as efficiently, so the nutrients aren't getting where they need to go. And, you know, did you ever go to that body exhibit? You know, where they have like, it's like kind of creepy. But, you know, I remember when I saw the body, you know, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's just like, seriously, a Google map, you know, just and all those lights were going on. And I was like, wow, you just stub your toe and zing, 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 zing. It could be affecting your brain. You know, you just don't think of it like that, because I think we take for granted our health.
Yeah.
So, you know, in coming up with this formula, it was like, let's address those issues. Let's put things in there, essential oils that calm our spirit, that help us worry less, that make us feel everything's going to be okay, that prevent depression or from that victim mentality. Because what I stress in the self-care kit, because the serum is in the self-care kit, is that when you put it on, say loving things to yourself. Like, you know, don't be like, oh God, there's another wrinkle. Oh, my eyes are set. You know, say like, I love you, and you are loved, and you are healthy, and you are beautiful, and just rub it in and just love on. Just like, kind of like, you know, when someone gives you a massage and they're rubbing on you and it just feels so good. It's like, but you can love yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
So in making this serum, GoBeYou Skin, then I was also thinking, okay, what if you ate every single thing that was good for you? You can't. I mean, you and I, we juice, we smoothie, we steam, but there's days when we just don't do that because we just don't have time. So what if we extract every single thing down that we know of that is so beneficial to our skin? And we put it in here too, So then this whole idea came of, okay, it's food for your face and serum for your soul. And I just think that is what we need and what I need. I know that because, Sarah, I know you've always had beautiful skin. And I've frankly had nice skin all my life, but I love the sun. I never used sunscreen because it was toxic. I didn't really use a lot of creams because I wasn't raised that way. It was just more natural, And so, developing this routine of taking care of my skin, even at my age, was difficult for me, And so I'm feeling like it's part of my self-care. It's part of Casey, stop in the morning, do this, say beautiful things, At night, do this, say beautiful things. It creates the ritual. And I think ritual is part of the beauty of life, right? So the self-care kit came in with, okay, how do I make this into something more that people can gift somebody, right? So like let's say I wanted to gift you a kit. So, I'm GoBeYou, right? GoBeYou is like the healthiest you, the passionate you, the best you, the amazing you, So it would be Sara, which means GoBe all those things, Sarah. So I thought I'm going to personalize them. So when people receive this, maybe they're ill, or maybe they just got divorced, or maybe, somebody cheated, whatever. They lost their job and they just need some love for themselves, because we have to take responsibility for it ourselves, right? We can't rely on the world to fill that cup. Mm-hmm. So, and I love to sew, and I love craftsy, arty stuff. So anything working with my hands, I was like, I want to make this fun kind of artisan, So in the kit, I decided to come up with these 7 ways to start your day. And I thought, well, that would be a good thing for people. Just give me 7 things, And yeah, right. And so, some of those things are just getting up and stretching. You get up and you're stiff, and I know my husband is kind of hurt now when he gets out of bed. It's like, honey, stretch first. Just stretch like a baby does. When you look at a little baby in the crib and they're, I know, right? Yeah. So to stretch and drink some water. I mean, all night long, we have no water in our system. And most people have had wine or coffee or who knows what, salty, soy sauce. And so their bodies are dehydrated. And the first thing they do is they reach for coffee, more dehydration, right? So let's just flush out our cells, and you could put lemon water in there, but, you could just put it in a stand by your bed. And that way in the morning, it's just ready, right? And then it's get up and splash your face with cold water and massage the serum in lovingly. And then it's maybe use some mitts, I mean, you've had lymphoma. We know how, our lymph glands are our sieve, right? In our liver. So we want to keep things flowing. So how do we do that? Through water, through detoxing, through greens, and also through energy. And so you put those mitts on and you start, dry scrubbing from your feet up, around your lymph, around your groin, around your breast, around your armpits. And it's like, it really kind of gets you awake. It's like, I call it like an altoid, it's like, and then if you do before you get in the shower, it's like you're in there and just kind of like, okay, I'm ready, And then another part of the 7 ways would be, make yourself a good breakfast. Don't have a coffee on an empty stomach, please. Protein, right? Protein fuels our adrenals, it fuels our brain. And then write an affirmation that you say every day. I mean, it could be anything, and you could change it up. But, mine, I did this cleanse years ago. Jordan Rubin, he wrote Patient Heal Thyself. And this affirmation he suggested was, I am healthy from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. Every cell, bone, tissue, ligament, organ is vibrant. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad. And so I say that, and then write in the journal, what am I grateful for? Because the minute you leave your house, like you and I can have this conversation, and then you can walk away and then slam, something negative could happen to you. But when you've filled yourself up with all this goodness, the self-love, the self-care, good food, your mind is healthy, you can go out into that day and you can let things flow through you instead of to you when you're centered.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I 100% agree on
Yeah.
all. Yeah, it's really powerful. Like it sounds, it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of times we hear some of these things. Oh, okay, yeah, let me drink a glass of water in the morning. Oh, whatever. But it's like if somebody, I'll just talk for myself. It's like when I make a point to do those things on a consistent basis, like you said, I go out into the world, like it shifts how I see the world, how I handle things. I have a girlfriend who describes it as, she's amazing, and she's like, she's a meditation and mindfulness teacher. And she's like, when I don't do my morning routine, which includes meditation for her, she's like, the world feels like a ping pong machine. Like you're just banging around back and forth. She's like, but when I do those things that I know feel good to me and start me off on the right foot, it's like everything just kind of flows just a little bit easier. It's not anything major you notice, but it's just like, oh,
so beautiful.
Yeah.
The thing is a lot of people that are like high energy or type A, they don't think it's possible to just like sit and like meditate or take a nap. But the truth is, and I speak for myself, when you are high energy, your body can when it needs rest, it'll take it. I mean, I could fall asleep on a bus, because I know my body's just like, okay, time to turn it off. Okay, time to open up, time to turn it off. And recharge because you expend so much energy that if you don't replenish it somehow with rest instead of like a stimulant, the stimulant would be my old self would be, oh, it's 3 o'clock, I'm exhausted. Okay, have another coffee. So it's like I'm the horse that's racing. I just fell down, and now my jockey is just smacking me instead of giving me some nourishment and just going, okay, lay down for a little bit. You're tired. And my dad was always a big napper. Oh yeah, and I just love to nap. On shoots, I'll go in a dressing room and I'll curl up in a little ball and I'll just kick and nap. And people, you just be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm great." Yeah. And then years of doing that, like one client I had, she was my age. She had a lot of health stuff, and she was like, "Casey, I'm starting to think that nap thing is working." I'm like, "I'm telling you, you got to recharge your batteries."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things, like I always, I have to have like the visual, thing to really picture it. But it's like, okay, if we start here and then you burn yourself down to here, and then you only get a little bit, and then you burn yourself down and you only get a little bit, and it's like you never fully at your best, at your peak, at your vital self, like really able to create incredible things. Instead, we're like getting by like little hamsters on a wheel. And it takes some shifting. And I think that's incredible. Like that's where the work that you do comes in, because it really helps people, like, and women especially, have that space to have somebody encourage them. Like, it's okay to slow down. It's okay to take care of yourself. Doesn't mean you're a bad mom or a bad businesswoman or whatever. Right. It's like, no, actually,
it's funny you say that, because when I was raising my kids, other moms that would do that, I would judge and think, oh, they're so selfish. Oh, great, they're getting a massage, or oh, wow, it's new, she's off, and but it's that projection thing where that's bugging me, because that's a part of me that I need, perhaps, right? And now that I'm more like that, and granted, it's a slippery slope for me every day to stay on task with that. But I'm so, oh my gosh, I'm so centered. Like I'm in Seattle right now, and as you know, I travel a lot for my work as a makeup artist. And so I constantly have to remind myself in my travels to do these things that keep me centered, because it's really easy to get out of whack. So, when I get on a plane, I sleep the second I get on there. If I feel slightly tired or even not, I either meditate or I sleep, because I'm like, what better way? No one's going to interrupt me. I don't know anybody. I don't feel obligated. I'll just rest. Then I get off, I drive to Whole Foods, I get a Green Giant juice. That's my thing. It's like, okay, cleanse my cells. I've just been on a plane. I'm dehydrated, and I try to incorporate these practices when I'm away, because it's so easy to get out of whack. Because when I come back home, I'm so centered. I have a fireplace. The weather's changing in Seattle, so it's cozy, But this isn't reality. I can't be just hiding out in my house every day. I need to be out in the world. I need to be giving back. And so I have to find a way to function in the real world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you just touched on too, it's like, and it reminds me of with yoga, it's a concept, like it's a practice. And some days we're better at it and other days we're not. And instead of like shaming and guilting ourselves, if maybe we get a little off course, it's kind of like, okay, be gentle, come back. Let's start this day new. Let's start, right. Or even if it's like halfway through the day, you kind of have this moment of like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like a victim. I'm run down. I just grabbed my third cup of coffee. I'm, X, Y, and Z. It's kind of like, oh, wait, maybe I can start over. Like, let me go get a glass of water. Let me, instead of just like, oh, well, I blew it. It's like, okay, hold on.
You can reboot your software. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's okay. And I think that's that mentality, Sarah. It's like, I don't know, when I was a little girl, there was some woman that was quite overweight, and she wrote a book called I'll Start My Diet on Monday or something. I remember my mom would always refer to this woman, and it was like that mentality, like, oh, well, I blew it, so I'll start on Monday. Oh, I blew it, But it's like, no, I could just start right now. I can ask myself, first of all, why am I doing what I'm doing? How is that serving me, right? And now what can I do? And it's almost like parenting yourself, Like, I think when I was raising my kids, I tried to be a positive mom, and I tried to give them kind of the natural consequences. Like, well, if you choose to do this, then more than likely this will happen. And just kind of like for myself. So it's almost like you're a child again, and you're just having to hear that voice, that loving voice saying, it's okay, Casey, you did that, but now you can do this, go make some lemon water, take a minute to yourself, right? And the thing is that I really want to touch upon, Sarah, is when you're centered, besides your own health, it really nourishes your relationships. Because when I went through that crisis in my marriage, I have to tell you, I was out of whack, before anything happened for me. And because I was working all the time, I was burning at both ends. I was living on caffeine. I would call it the day shift and the night shift. I'd work, and then I'd come home to the second shift, and then, I'd stay up late, didn't get enough rest. And so that made me not that nice of a person. Because you're tweaked, and so I don't know. It's funny. I talk a lot about caffeine because that's always been kind of a love affair with me, like this, for a lot of people, right? And I live in Seattle, yeah. And so it's just this, it's like a naughty, but I love it. But I have to be so careful. And so my husband and I were joking about, like I'll go through, like when I lead cleanses, I'll also cleanse myself, obviously. And so maybe it's like 40 days without caffeine, and I don't have caffeine every day by any means now. But, if I'm going out and I'm with a group of people in a lovely coffee shop, I'm going to participate because I'm not into the being religious about food. I'm into living a whole balanced life and still having fun, but make sure it's 80-20, not 20-80, Yeah. But, it's funny because I feel like all those years when I was had a difficult time, like coming home from work, and it's difficult being a working mom. And my heart goes out to all those women that have to be providers as well, because it doesn't become 50-50 generally for most women. It just doesn't, because we're more capable. We see things that need to be done that our spouses don't. That's just whatever. It's not good or bad. It's just how it is. But I found that when I would come home, I would notice, like, oh, look at that pile of shoes in the front way. Oh, that bugs me. That pile of shoes is there. And oh, I can't believe there's that rubber band from the newspaper still on the coffee table. And, just get into this like anal kind of OCD thing because I was so tweaked because I was drugged, because I was on coffee, maybe on an empty stomach. And so that affected my relationships with my children, with my spouse. And, we always joke about it now, like, man, all those years, if you just hadn't had coffee, man, just think of how happy. Yeah. But my husband can drink coffee all day long and he's just zenned out, so there again, it's individuality we learned about, right? It's just different for everybody. But when you're centered, you are more loving, you are forgiving, you just see things differently, right? You don't look at life as a victim, as a judge. You go, okay, this is a journey. We're human, we mess up, we say things that aren't kind, but if you and I can be an instrument of the kindness, of the, that thing, think before you speak, if it's not true, necessary, or kind, don't say it. That's a hard one, but man, is it a good one? Because
powerful.
Just that little bit can make such a difference, you know? So I just think that health for our own health for surviving is important, but also for a relationship surviving is important.
Yeah. Well, again, it's that whole picture. You know, you can't take a person and just take a little slice and a little slice and keep things separate. It's just like our body, our lives, it's all a piece of a giant puzzle that fits and works together. So, you know, I think that's an important piece of it. And I want to circle back to, you know, when someone's going through cancer, whether, and we don't necessarily need to dive into this topic, but whether they do, you know, traditional treatment or holistic or a combination or however that looks for people, because I definitely am a big proponent in figuring out what works individually for them. But I really want to talk about, you know, the self-care piece in that healing, however it looks, whatever, you know, whatever avenue they take, kind of a thing. And just, again, like keeping it gentle. And, you know, because sometimes when you're going through treatment, when you're going through cancer, it's so overwhelming. There's so much happening and it's so scary. And it's kind of like, all right, just simplify. And, and, you know, I mean, it's, I feel like there's so many pieces of life that are like going through cancer, whether it's a divorce or whether it's, you know, you're moving to a new place. Like there's so many times in our lives and there's a lot of unknown. It's very scary. It's very overwhelming. And it's like, keep it simple.
Yeah.
And so if you have any thoughts on that or.
I do. I actually, it's interesting because there's, it reminds me, there's a woman that's following me on Instagram and, she purchased my serum and she started posting about it. And she, before that, she maybe, I don't know, a couple weeks after she started following me, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so she purchased my serum and she was saying how, oh, this feels so good because my skin is so dry, you know, and it's just like so soothing. And, you know, I personally haven't gone through that, but I can understand that factor. And I was explaining to her, yes, it is good for you. And it's also healing for you, right? So I want you to say beautiful things when you're rubbing it in and just know that it's going all the way through. It's not just here, right? And she's just completing her radiation now, but she's talked about working with me, not right now, but a little down the road, like you say, because so much is going on in her life, right? It just, you know, and she's got a lot of voices coming at her. But one of the things that I think is crucial in self-care, in treatment, is being positive. And, you know how I'm all about the hashtag I am healed, because I just want people to say it. I just want them to talk to their body, you know, because your body talks to you and all these, it's talking to you, because getting cancer, any disease, doesn't just happen overnight. It's been coming. It's been creeping, right? And so you need to let your body know it's going to be okay and that you're going to love it like a vessel and you're going to help it heal, right? So I think being positive. There's this book called The Happiness Advantage that I just love, and it's just
I know that
mindset, Sarah. It's written by a man that was like a tutor or a mentor at, I believe, Harvard, and he was trying to figure out why some of these students just lost their mind and wanted to commit suicide, and other ones flourished in this high pressure cooker, you know, and these tools for being positive. So staying positive, I think, is crucial part of self-care. I think, as you know, when you're ill, especially with cancer, you need nourishment, because a lot of people lose their life just because they're just undernourished, right? Because you don't have an appetite. And I know when you go through your treatments, you feel nausea and such. So, and I mean, it's a recipe, but I think making bone broth as a form of self-care is huge. And, you know, I made some this morning in preparation for this, because I just wanted to feel the energy of that healing. And it's so funny, like even before I came into my studio, I was like, oh, I kind of feel like sitting by the fire and talking to Sarah, because it just got me in that zone, like, oh yeah, my broth and my healing potion, and, you know. And so I think a simple recipe, which I can provide for you, for a really good broth, because the thing is, not just the broth, but so you make the broth, and then let's say the next day you add lamb to it. And then another day you might want to, take some of the broth out and put chicken in it. Or another day you might want to put fish in it, to have the proteins in there too. So it's kind of like this base that you can use, but it's always there. You can just warm it up. It's not a big, and you can make it in a crock pot, which I do, like on my back porch, and you just turn it on at night, and in the morning it's done. So it's not this big labor-intensive thing. You can go through the fridge and just grab the vegetables that you should have eaten and you didn't. Throw them there. I don't know if you know this. You probably do, Sarah, because you're a chef as well. But, every vegetable has a different purpose, right? Like beets are blood cleanser. So, if you've got a cancer that's a blood cancer, put those beets in there. Put all these greens, put whatever. And, and the thing about it is, in self-care, I think people need to listen to their own body and go, what do I need? Okay, what are the signs that have been out there telling me that I need, right? Like, I know you know what you need now. You probably look back on your life and you go, okay, I could see that was this and this is that, right? And so it's going to take whatever is meditation, prayer, whatever their form of spirituality is, to just say, okay, what are the 3 things I need, or the 5 things that I have been neglecting? Most people know,
They just don't want to look at them. Like, I know. And
I think that's where you come in too.
Yeah, no, definitely, because it's a lot of times they're really hard things to look at, even if like, oh, okay, the elephant in the room is,
yes,
past trauma, or taking responsibility, living as a vet, like all these things that it's kind of like, okay, it's over there. I'm just going to go like this. And when you get something like cancer, I think a lot of times, just facing the possibility of death, really.
Yeah.
It really brings things. It's like, whoa, what is happening? How did I get here? What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to go through this? How do I want to show up? Like, oh my gosh, yes. So I love that. I love just getting quiet and thinking about it, even if it is overwhelming and a little scary.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's okay. Just say I'm scared.
Start. Yeah.
Right. Say I am scared, And so, and then I think the other thing, what I think is super, super important is juicing, flushing those cells out, because I know for myself, when I was in my deep stages of adrenal fatigue, when I would drink a green juice, I would feel better right away. It's almost just like I could see the green bath, and so, as from studying, and as I know from studying and all these different mentors that we have, like, keeping your body alkalized is huge, right? As a part of the self-care, because cancer loves acidic environments, loves sugar. So the minute you go, okay, I can't have any sugar, you want sugar, right? It's just how it is. Yeah. So that person could just say, okay, I'm going to grab a juice somewhere. I mean, I don't care if you make it yourself, or if you just have to start grabbing one that's pre-whatever package. At least it gets people in that mindset. Green food is good. Green is oxygen. Green is energy. Green is life. Right? So, affirming your health, drinking juices, listening to your body, and brothing, and making sure you're having enough nourishment. Because think about this, Sarah, like, if you have a child that's sick, you will do everything like my sister did. She was making all these concoctions for her daughter. She was getting her all these supplements. She was praying with her. She's okay. But when it's you as an adult, it's hard to do that for yourself. And a lot of times your spouse isn't going to do it because they don't know how. Or so you need to call in the forces, right? And I have a friend who just went through the fires in Sonoma, and someone just put a GoFundMe out there, and we just, and like $23,000 have come in already, and I think that's beautiful. And it's okay to say, you know what, I need healing. Can you help me, right? And be specific. This is what I need. And because if you can't juice, have somebody bring you one, right? If you don't want to make your bone broth, have somebody come over and cook for you that's a good cook, because we all have gifts, Sarah, and we all want to share them, and sometimes we just don't know where to share them, and it gives people such good joy in their heart to help somebody else who needs it.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, it doesn't mean that you're not, again, going back to that, like, oh, I'm not okay if I need to ask for help.
Right.
Or I'm not strong enough, or, oh, I'm not, powering through. And I find that a lot of times with people when they get diagnosed, it's like there's this image of like, oh, you got to be strong, survivor. I'm going to, beat cancer, all this stuff. It's like, oh, I had a posse. it wasn't just me out there being like, I'm so strong. It's like I had a support system. I hired the people that I needed to hire. I brought in the people, you know, so just to put that out there with what you do, with what I do, it's like, it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to be like, all right, I have a girlfriend who, she always says, she's like, health trumps finances. When you are in crisis and you need help, it's like your health is the most important thing. And because without it, what else do we have?
And you know what? I mean, I say this in all due respect to my sister, because she was my mentor. She was amazing for me, you know, but that is one thing she didn't do. And, you know, it's never for me to judge why she's not here anymore. Maybe she's just finished on earth. She had better things to do. But we had that specific conversation about, you know, she kind of wanted to go to a healing center in Mexico, but she was like, oh, I hate to leave my husband, and and it's expensive, and they could afford that. And God forbid her husband had to be alone for a month, you know. But I saw that still everything else was coming before her, you know. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking that, like, why not? Like, come on, you know. But if you don't have your health, you have nothing, you know. And all the cars, all the vacations, all the whatever, you know, whatever. You don't even have, those cars are junked by the time you're a certain age, and those vacations.
Oh no.
So
there you are.
You never know, you know, when tomorrow is your last day. So, you know, do what you need to do to take care of you, to take care of your family, to take care of your health. And I feel like the rest falls into place. Yeah. You know, I really, really do. The other thing that just came to mind, though, that I also think is vital, and I'm sure that you touch upon this too, and I lead this in my retreats, mm-hmm. is forgiveness. And I do this forgiveness meditation that a naturopath did with me years ago when I was in conflict. And, you know, I find a lot of people in my retreats, that's their favorite thing. But, you know, a lot of them, it's forgiving themselves.
Mm-hmm. Huge.
Yeah. And they just carry so much. And I had a retreat. One of the women that was the most emotional came up to me afterwards and said, you know, it was myself that I had to forgive, you know, and she's facing some issues, you know. I don't know. I see it a lot. Forgiveness is hard, but, you know, if you need to forgive yourself or to forgive someone else, if you don't, you carry that with you, and that really eats at you, and it does no one any good, you know. I find in coaching a lot of women that like carry a lot of weight around their stomach, you know. Mm-hmm. I find a lot of times it's anger. It's built up resentment and anger. It's just harboring there. It's just hanging on, you know. And I just, oh man, just let it go, let it out, you know.
Yeah, life is short. It's like, you know, whatever that looks like. It's so interesting you bring that up. I've been dealing with some of that just with myself, with like, oh, I have some places where I need to take more responsibility, because it's like, it's been really interesting. And then B, I get to forgive myself for sitting in the victim role and like, oh, okay, I can let that go and I can move forward in this new space. And it's so free. It's just like, so amazing. Such amazing work. Yeah.
I mean, because I know you're teaching yoga. Mm-hmm. Somebody just posted something yesterday, and it was beautiful, but it was kind of like living in a lower vibration and a higher vibration, you know, and the bottom was fear and victim, right? And the top was unconditional love. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of beautiful synchronicity for me, because I was actually having a conversation yesterday with someone about my own marriage and why it's where it is now, and why I feel so amazing about my marriage. And when I saw that post, I sent it to the woman who asked me, because, you know, when you can live in unconditional love, and you could say that higher vibration that, okay, we're all here, we're all human, we all make mistakes, we all make choices that are self-serving, but we have the capacity to live in a higher vibration, and we can live in that higher vibration when people love us and don't shame us, right? And when people forgive us. And so even ourselves, right? I mean, when my health went bonkers, I was like, okay, gosh, why was I always doing this? And why was I doing that? And why was I always pushing myself? Like always having to make things better. Why couldn't I just be? Mm-hmm. Why couldn't I just let the house be a mess sometimes? Why couldn't I just, you know, order pizza instead of making like a 5-course dinner and being so exhausted by the time I was done cooking.
Right, and then resentful about it. Like,
yeah.
You.
Yeah. And then just passing out at night because you're just like so tired. You look at your husband like, good night. And then you just get up and do it all over again, you know? So, you know, forgiving ourselves helps us learn and grow and see, okay, the light goes on, bing, great. I don't need to do that anymore. I can, but as you know, it's a practice, and these patterns that have been set in, they're hard to break. Oh gosh, right?
Yeah.
But they can. And there again, it's just like a little kid. It's just like learning to ride a bike, you know?
Yeah. Well, and what I was just thinking too, it's, you know, sometimes I remember hearing before, like, oh, higher vibration. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds magical. Like, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Up into some higher vibration, and yeah, okay. And then, but I've realized, you know, in the course of the last several years and doing more and more and more work on myself and looking at these things, it's like, you just start to like unpeel the layers of the onion, and it's like slowly, you know, you're like, oh, whoa, I'm up here. And then, oh, you do more work. It's not just like, oh, I magically think myself into higher vibration. It's like, no, you do the work to let go and clear the space. And it's really healing, incredible, life-changing stuff. It really is.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a question. So through your challenges that you've been through and your survival, did you, you know, like some people see themselves as just here on this planet and we're here and then we're gone, you know? And when you went through all that and understand now and know what it was like to heal or be healed, do you look at life more spiritually now or not necessarily? Mm-hmm. Just curious.
Well, it's so interesting. It's interesting that you asked that, because I kind of had started a spiritual journey right before I got sick, and started to explore that and look at that. And so then through the process of like getting sick the first time and going through that and then getting sick the second time, it's so interesting how much it deepened like my spirituality and having connection and really letting go of like, again, I think it's having to face death, because all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, what do I feel? What's important to me? Do I feel a connection to something bigger than myself, even though I've been pulled through, you know, hell basically? And for me personally, it's definitely deep in my spirituality and my like, oh, I'm okay no matter what. And I've talked about this, I don't think in any of the YouTube videos. Oh no, I think I have. But anyway, this, you know, this idea of no matter what, I'm okay. If that means that through this sickness, like it's my time and that's it, time is done, I'm okay. Like whatever comes next, it's all like, it's really shifted, and it's taken a lot of the pressure off that I kind of put on mundane things. Mm-hmm. Like what's important to me now. And my boyfriend and I, we talk about this a lot, where it's kind of like, okay, well, that's not cancer. Is this really something like that's little stuff? Is that really something that needs to take time and energy and attention? No, it's not that important, you know? And again, it's a practice. I'm not perfect at it. Sometimes he'll be like, and let's bring it back, you know? But it definitely, and just the power of prayer, the power of love, the power of like that peace. It's just, it's really, and the interconnectedness, again, not only of myself and my body, but myself, relationships close to me, even strangers. Like the way I look at life and how I show up in the world is so different. There's such like a deeper connection to what I see and feel. Yeah, so it definitely, it's kind of like taken me on this trajectory that I'm like, oh my gosh, I never expected. And I definitely, I feel like it's been like a fast forward in like growth and learning experience, because, you know, it's like, all right, sometimes we go through the most horrible things and the most, like the biggest challenges of our lives to get the biggest lessons, for sure.
You know, I have a friend, and she and I spend a lot of time together when I'm in LA, and this was I thought just a lovely description of kind of how we feel now, just through whatever your personal journey is and crises you've been through. And she, you know, we were talking, it's kind of like, you know, like when you're at a play or a musical, you know, and you're in the audience and you're watching everything, you know, from the audience. And then, but when you're backstage and you're kind of behind the curtain or behind the veil, I mean, you know what's really going on and you see it and you get it, right? And we were saying, like, this is how we feel right now. It's just like we are behind the veil now. Like we see kind of how our life's journey led us to this point. We kind of see, okay, this happened and that happened because that had to happen to get me here, right? It's kind of like The Alchemist. Have you ever read that?
So
you know, yeah. And it's like, and so what happens when you're kind of living that way now, behind the curtain, behind the veil, you don't really question the things that are going on. You know, you just go, okay, well, maybe I don't see ahead what that's going to be like, but note to self, you know, and you just keep going and you really embrace life and its ups and downs and everything. And everybody that comes to your life, you kind of pay attention to now, right? You meet somebody, you don't just go, oh, yeah, I'll call you. You think, no, I ran to them today. There's a reason. And I want to have connection with them, you know, and I just feel like every day it's like I wake up and I go, oh, what's happening now? You know, yeah, like, you know, every time I go to LA and I either, you know, health coach or work there as a makeup artist, but I'm like, okay, God, wherever you're going to use me, just put me there, you know. And the conversations I have with people, I'm just like, okay, well, now I know I was meant to be here today, and okay, now I know tomorrow, and it just makes life such an adventure now. I just love it.
Right? Instead of like being stuck in the drama of
Yes.
it, like having this curiosity. And one thing that I really learned over the last few years too, because at first it was very much like, why me? I was healthy. Like, why did I have to get cancer? Why did I have to get cancer so young? And now it's like, oh, everybody has their turn in the barrel. It just looks different. You know, some people it might be horrible divorces. Some people it might be losing a child. Some people it might be whatever it looks like. But no one is no one. And it's kind of like, oh, see, we're all like, it gives me more empathy and compassion for every human I meet because I know everyone is going through something at some point. It might not be right that day, but something.
I agree. I actually had that same thought, like, well, why am I exempt? You know, like I have a beautiful life and why am I exempt from pain? You know, I thought both my sisters, my other sister's daughter had cancer as well at 16 and she had chemo and she's great and she's thriving and she's in her 30s now. You know, and I remember what my sister went through and I was like, well, Casey, why do you think that you're just going to be skating through? Like, you know, obviously this is happening for a reason. Just embrace it, learn from it, grow with it, and bless people later, you know? Yeah. So, oh, it's so wonderful. I mean, just talking to you gets me just so excited inside because you know when you're living out your life's purpose when you feel this way, right? Sarah, it's just such a good feeling and I wish it for everyone. I mean, whether it's in healing, whether, you know, whatever it is, I wish they all just feel like, okay, that's why I'm here. I get it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk and share your story and all of it. And I would love to get that bone broth recipe to be able to send to people and like share. So
okay, no problem.
We will definitely share that out and that would be incredible.
Okay. No problem. I'll get that to you.
Awesome. And then, so how do people get a hold of you if they want to check out your serum, if they want to connect with you for coaching, any of that kind of stuff? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
So they go to www.GoBeYou, like GOBEYOU.us. And that's my site. And my Instagram is the same name. I may be changing it, but it's the same name for now. And so my serum, my GoBeYou skin is on my site as well as my self-care kits. And then I'm just about ready to release a new one. It's called Youth Glue. It's a amazing Manuka honey, spirulina, different oils to just help bring blood to the surface and regenerate.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, and then if anybody, I mean this in all sincerity, if anyone's thinking of a gift that they want to send somebody, someone they just feel like they could use as, you know, a gift for Christmas or the holidays or just to brighten someone's day. I do personalize the self-care kits, so it's sweet. And yeah, so that's how to reach me. I don't have any retreats lined up just now, but I will be soon. There's a lot going on.
Awesome.
But I'm trying to walk my talk and pace myself soon.
Yes. Yes. And not run yourself ragged. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I will make sure to put all your links and everything down below. And then we're going to be sharing this all over social media. So I'm so excited.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. I'm so honored. It's been such a blessing. And I just wish you the best. And I think of all the lives you're going to touch, and it just makes my heart grow. So
likewise. Definitely. All right. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.